How's it going, guys? So, I don't know what happened, but TLC actually ended up being a pretty good show. And, I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, this was a show that had really bad build-up. I mean, tremendously boring build-up. And this has been the case with certain WrestleManias, certain shows. It's happened before. I don't know how they do it, but it is a testament to some of these wrestlers that they're good talents. This is what I've been saying. Like, I really honestly think you could take the current roster and make it work because you do have some really good people on there. You have some good wrestlers without a doubt. And there's people that believe that we need to redo this whole roster or we need to get better people. But I think, there's certain people that don't deserve to be there. But I think this was honestly a pretty good show, to say the least, especially the way how it ended. I was a very big fan of that main event. Now, before we get started here today, I needed to talk about something. So, my subscriber count here on YouTube, something very unusual is going on, and I said it time and time again. Once again, I hit 7,000 subs. I did, I've been hitting this number now like 3 times already, possibly 4. It's been a few times, to say the least. And the subscriber count, and it was going past that. I had like 7,002 subscribers. Then it went back down to 6,991 subscribers. Now, like I said, I understand past, I wasn't doing any WWE content, so some of my WWE fans might have gotten annoyed that I was only doing video game related content, and they might have unsubscribed. But the subscriber count then started climbing, then went back down, then went back up again. And then, and then at one point I was even down to 6,980. It even got that low at one point. And, I would say okay, some people are not liking it. And then maybe I might have annoyed certain of the video game fans who like those videos. Maybe then they unsubscribe when I started doing WWE content again. I don't think that's as likely. I think it was more that the people who like the WWE content were unsubscribing because they weren't getting their fix, because that's what they subscribed for. They wanted to see that content on here. Okay, and so that's understandable. So now I'm doing that content, and for it to go down and then up again, I don't know. But first of all, it's kind of getting a little bit annoying. It truly is. And I'm starting to think it's not the fault of the subscribers, because YouTube has just done this time and time again with numerous people that I'm a fan of here on YouTube that I've watched have talked about their subscriber count and screwy things going on with view counts and everything, and I've even seen that. A lot of the things don't even make sense with a lot of the view counts now. The other thing I'm even noticing it, even since I've been going back to the WWE content. I came back and it was very easy for a Raw review to get 1,000 views. It only took a few days. But I'm even seeing the more recent ones, they're not getting as high, and I'm I don't know, that's a bit unusual, because that was I had to take a week off because of computer problems. Did that really upset the algorithm that much? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have an explanation. So all I could really say, guys, is, really, subscribe. Make sure that you're still subscribed. I have to ask everybody for that. I would really suggest that you click the bell so you get all the notifications when the videos do come out. And like I said, a good practice that not a lot of people say here on YouTube that I strongly believe in is to go to that person's channel. If you're going to your subscribe section and you're not seeing me there, the chances are is that there is a new video out and YouTube's not letting you know. Because I usually at least have a few videos a week. And even when I wasn't doing WWE related content, I was making sure I did at least one video per week. So, if you're not getting that, if you're not seeing that, there is a big chance that that is what's happening. So, yeah, I would say do all those things. If you really want to see these videos, I would really suggest that you do that. All right, guys. So, yeah, let's get to the TLC review. If I sound a little different, it's because I'm a little congested. I've been getting over a cold. I've done some other videos where I'm sick, but I feel like today it's a little bit more noticeable. So if you're wondering about that, that's the reason why. So we had Drew McIntyre defeating AJ Styles and The Miz because The Miz decided to cash in during this match. And, I thought that it was going to be like he was just going to smash him through the table and that was going to be it. But that wasn't the case. It ended up being that The Miz it was another failed cash-in attempt. And I feel like these are getting a little bit all too common, if you know what I mean. Like, how many people like Baron Corbin, Sandow, there's been numerous people where they've like cashed in, and even Cena for that matter, where they've cashed in the briefcase and they've walked away with nothing. And it used to be this thing like the briefcase was like a guaranteed way of cashing in. And, they started doing it a bit differently. It used to be like they used to wait until the match was over, and they still do that from time to time. But now it's like they're cashing in during matches. We see Brock Lesnar where he actually like cashed in like to have a match that was scheduled for the first episode of SmackDown on Fox. And, I think that's okay, but it kind of takes away from the allure of the Money in the Bank. But I like how they did this, like it was during the match and not after the match. And it added a lot of drama to it. We saw The Miz kind of climbing up, and I kind of figured that he wasn't going to get it the first time, but I thought that maybe they might have him sneak in. So it made it believable. It made it fun. And, there were a lot of good moments in there. But Drew ended up grabbing the belt at the end. And, before that, like, it was okay. They were doing a lot of spots. They weren't really going for the belt so much, which was kind of bothersome because it felt more like they were doing spots, and that's how they do TLC matches. Like, I don't think that they format these matches like they used to. Like, I don't know. There's some of the same people working for WWE that were there for, like, the first couple of TLC matches. And then you notice that, like, why is it? It's not just nostalgia that those early TLC matches are the best ones. It's because of the way how they were formatted. They had spots, don't get me wrong. They were spot fests, but they had logic to them. Like, the tag teams were trying to win it, but then again, we're talking about, like, three of the greatest tag teams of all time. Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles, great stars, but, I feel like a lot of times they're just kind of trying to get these spots in here, and I feel like they could do a lot less of them and therefore make them feel more important. Like, especially now that we're getting 2 TLC matches per show. And don't even get me started. I've already said in the past about having pay-per-views dedicated to these matches. So, we know that we're going to get these matches ahead of time, which really takes away from the allure of it. And that now, like, years later, how long have we had TLC? Since 2009, right? So, and Hell in a Cell, the same thing with that pay-per-view. And the same thing with Extreme Rules. Like, you're going to get Extreme Rules matches on Extreme Rules. It really takes away from the unpredictability of the show. And that is something that I think a lot of people have forgotten about. That they don't really seem as bothered by it. But I think now it's time to change these pay-per-views a little bit. But, for what this match was, it was good. And The Miz added a lot to it. He really did. I thought that this was like a really like good drama that I have not seen in a while on pay-per-views and on any of the shows in general. We had a Paul Heyman promo backstage, and once again, I know I've cut this rant 1,000 times here on this channel, but guys, Paul Heyman, really, it doesn't matter who he's with. If he's with Roman Reigns, if he's with Brock Lesnar, it doesn't matter. He cuts the same promo night after night, show to show. Every single show, it's the same thing. It's not a prediction. It's a spoiler. At least we don't have to hear him doing the whole Brock Lesnar, UFC beating The Undertaker at WrestleMania, that thing that went on for years and years. That's the one thing I will say that's a positive of Brock not being there. The fact that we don't have to hear that promo anymore. But Paul Heyman, I'm saying, this guy used to be so good, and I used to look forward to his promos when he was the GM of SmackDown, and when he was a manager for Brock Lesnar, during the early 2000s, 2002, 2003, and when he was the commentator in 2001, I don't understand how this is the same guy. I don't know if he thinks that he's doing a good job, and this new style, well, it's not so new anymore. He has been doing this now since 2012, 2013, roughly. I don't know why he thinks that this is a better style, why he can't go back to the way that he was, where he was really good. And I look forward to hearing this man speak, but now I cringe every time I hear the man open his mouth. Sasha Banks defeated Carmella. This was honestly, not a bad match at all. I enjoyed it for what it was, but, really, I can't say I was bored during this match. They kept a good flow going. The only thing that I do have to say that does take away from it is, if you're going to say this whole thing with Sasha Banks and she looked up to Eddie Guerrero, we've been saying this time and time again. I remember they did it at WrestleMania. She had Eddie Guerrero-inspired attire. Don't say all that, and then she hits the frog splash, and then you have Carmella kick out like it's some kind of transitional move. And they've done it a few other times, I believe. So, Eddie Guerrero, you're talking about this guy who was a world champion, a main eventer, one of the biggest stars that WWE had. And you're going to have his finisher basically perverted, thrown into one of these women's matches and just have it be a transitional move. And how many times did Carmella lock in her submission finisher, the code of silence, where I've seen it, and I saw it on SmackDown, and I didn't even mention it. Sasha's just breaking out of this hold. Remember submission finishers? Bret Hart locked on the sharpshooter. Piper locked on the sleeper hold. No one was getting out of those moves. Now it's it's very easy to get out of these holds now. So anyone who has a submission finisher, or anyone who just has any type of finisher whatsoever, can we seriously stop, especially with the women? How are they kicking out of all these moves? Can I be honest? I mean, I understand it's not a man performing these moves, but it should still be on the same level. We can't always have it be every single wrestler is kicking out to create this allure of epicness. Like I said, I can see if it's Stone Cold and The Rock, if it's Batista and Randy Orton or someone kicking out of finishers, because those are big stars, so you'd kind of expect them not to go down so easily. But when it's everyone on the roster kicking out, breaking out of finishers, it first of all, it kills that finisher. You're basically saying that anyone could kick out of your finisher, anyone could break your hold, so it's if Sasha, who's not even using the ropes or anything to get out of this move, if she is just honestly just breaking her legs, and getting them off of her neck, like they're nothing, it shows first of all that Sasha Banks has this hidden power that is not noticeable at all aesthetically. So you would think okay, maybe if Nia Jax did that, maybe if she like broke out of that hold, that would make sense because okay, Nia Jax is a big, a big wrestler, is a big woman, so you would kind of assume that it would make it easier for her to get out of those types of holds. But when you're having like Sasha Banks, 90-pound Sasha Banks breaking out of your finisher, like you've just basically just said that finisher just doesn't mean anything anymore. Just basically any woman could break out of it. It was something very bothersome, but she just locks on the Bang statement. And first of all, like Carmella can't even do with all the interference and everything. She still couldn't even beat Sasha Banks. So it made Carmella actually look pretty bad. But I don't know. The match wasn't bad. I'd be lying if I sat here and said that it was a boring match, that I wasn't entertained. There was like some good, parts to this. There were some good little sequences. But, as I'm saying, there's a lot of these things in here where I'm telling you, this is certainly Ring of Honor shit. You know what I'm saying? From someone who thought like Ring of Honor for one point was actually like a pretty good stuff because I was so used to the WWE way of doing things that seeing like that style was different, so I enjoyed it for a time. But now, since it's been a part of WWE for, a good while now, I gotta say, it is time to just get rid of this style of wrestling with all the kickouts and the finisher breakouts and everything like that. Like, just end it already, because you are making all these matches basically so tiresome, dragged out, and making them feel so similar and very... Like, I get it, it's fake, but you're making them very unrealistic with all these kickouts and everything. Not every match can be this epic warfare of kickouts and drama, and it's forced drama. You want drama? Go back and watch a Roman Reigns Jey Uso match. There, I'm giving you a recent example. I didn't go back to the Attitude Era. I didn't go back to the Ruthless Aggression Era. I went back to something from 3-4 months ago. So there are examples of good wrestling, good drama, and they didn't have to go back to doing all these different kickouts and everything. You could do other things. You could just end the match on a frog splash, and it would be good. No one would question it. At least it didn't end with a roll-up. I will say that. Thank God. I thought, like, when Sasha did that jackknife pin, I thought that was going to be it. I was like, oh, my God. But thank God it didn't end that way. Billie Kay gives Asuka her resume. This was just totally zany and over the top. Like I said, I really like Billie Kay. I have no idea where they're going with her. I don't even think they know where they're going with her. But all I'm saying is there's something there with Billie Kay, and I don't think they know how to tap into it, to be quite honest. Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander, the Hurt Business, they defeated New Day, and, Shelton Benjamin, I didn't even realize this statistic, his first tag team championship since 2003 with Charlie Haas. Finally, I guess you could say that they're giving an accolade to Shelton Benjamin. I think that he shouldn't be stuck in a team with Cedric Alexander, to be quite honest. Like, I'm just saying, I don't know how we went from Shelton Benjamin, like where he was in 2004 and even in, what wasn't even like 2006, where, this guy was like the Intercontinental Champion with his mom coming to the ring. Like, Benjamin was all set to be a big star. And then, I don't know, somewhere in there something happened and they decided not to, go anywhere with him. And then it seemed like they were about to start him up again with the gold standard gimmick. And we fast forward to 2020 and he's a tag champion again. I don't know, I'm just saying, a guy that looks like Benjamin, he's undoubtedly, like, I gotta say, like, you look back at him from 2003 and he's in even better shape now. And we're talking about something from 17 years ago. And I think that's pretty impressive. But for whatever reason, this is the worth that they see in Benjamin. They tout his accolades and everything. But, people who are not familiar with Benjamin, unless they go watch him on the network, they're not going to understand why. Now here's the thing. Now that they got the belts off of the New Day, can we keep them off, please? I mean, I don't understand this thing with WWE where they're like, they want to give these people accolades. They're so obsessed now with creating history, doing the first thing, and like they don't even realize they've given the New Day like all these tag belts, and they've lost those belts as many times as they've won them, and they're touting, and it's in a short period of time. It's like with Charlotte, like they're touting her like 8-9 women's title wins, and like, okay, but she's only been on the main roster since 2015, so within a 5-year period she's won like 8-9 titles. Like it doesn't seem impressive. Like I don't think they seem to understand that Ric Flair, like the 16 world titles was something over a 20-year period, so it was more stretched out. When it's in a very short period of time, it does not seem that impressive. Got Sami Zayn backstage, and I didn't even know what the hell he was talking about to Big E. Something about, and first of all, again, like when they go backstage, this audio is just, it's fucking horrendous. I didn't even like hear him at first. I had to think about what he was saying, and he was talking about an audio file, and apparently this doesn't even seem like a big deal. I went back and I looked at the pre-show to see what the hell they were talking about, and all it was like Sami Zayn yelling at somebody. And this is like the most like obscure thing I've ever seen them do. That backstage interviewer of all people, he's yelling at her because on her Instagram page there was a leaked audio file of him yelling at somebody for the Sammy Awards. And I'm like, what? Like, are you serious? I mean, this is what they're making a big deal out of? I'm like, wow. Okay, so I just basically rewound to the pre-show, and I saw this, and I was like, okay, that was the big deal. That's what I went back to go look for. I wanted some context when talking about it. But basically, him and Big E kind of have a standoff, and he tells Big E that you've been treading water, ever since breaking up with New Day. And Big E got insulted by this, and I was like, it doesn't even really seem like that big of an insult to get that insulted by it, where he's like really angry about it. Really like a weird backstage segment with very bad audio. Charlotte and Asuka, the returning Charlotte came back. Since I started watching again, I kind of had forgotten that she wasn't there, and I liked Charlotte. I've said this time and time again. A lot of people like have been bashing Charlotte, and I don't understand the reason why. Like, this is what I don't get. Like, what is the reason that people don't like Charlotte? I see all the time people complain about her because she gets all the attention because she's Ric Flair's daughter, I mean, come on, guys. Like, is that really like a question in your mind? Like, I'm sorry, but when you have that accolade, yeah, it does put you in front of people. And plus, Charlotte has are you telling me you can see what makes someone like Charlotte more special than Sasha Banks? If you're really asking that question, you need to go back in time and look at some of the people on the roster and see why they were special. And it didn't have to do with because Sasha Banks could hit 60 moves in one match. It has nothing to do with that. Anyway, they come back. And once again, I'm looking at, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. And, Nia Jax, like, I got to tell you guys, they got to, like, send her to acting school or something. This thing with shaking her head and, it's funny that the commentators were saying, like, a look of disgust, and like the facial expressions that they were claiming that she had didn't even really match up to what they were saying. And I don't know, she's like shaking her head through the whole time. I'm like, okay, enough already. Nia Jax gotta be the biggest overactor I've seen, and I've said I think that there is a lot of good with Nia Jax. I think that, first of all, you've got the size of Nia Jax. I think the worst thing that they could have done was have her open her mouth and cut these promos. And that theme music of hers, that girly girl theme music, just it's like they have so many different factors working against Nia Jax, and they're all the things that could be removed very easily. That's what kills me about this, because she could be a dominant monster. Like, who could touch her? The only person who should be able to is, well, someone like Charlotte, like a strong girl that's, not big this way, but, like tall and powerful. And, it could be a very good, believable match, but, you have all these different factors. Like, you already know Nia Jax will be cutting promos on Raw where, she's like, oh, Charlotte, I always got to steal the spotlight. Like, always going to do these types of promos that totally take you out of, like, what could be, like, a really intimidating monster heel. But, instead we've got the kind of the Valley Girl, the body positivity, all the different things they've tried with Nia Jax, and each and one of them has failed. When they had her crying with Alexa Bliss because she was getting bullied, and then the WrestleMania story was she overcame getting bullied by a mean girl, Alexa Bliss. They had already jumped the shark with her. So this rant is kind of worthless because they've already killed this character. Now, of course, you could really resurrect anybody. I get it. A few little tweaks here and a little few tweaks there, and anyone can, be redeemed, I suppose, to a certain extent. But anyway, Charlotte gets the win here. We've got new tag champs. Good to see Charlotte back. Again, not a bad match if we're talking about the wrestling. Like a decent match. Like I said, over the years I've warmed up to Asuka. I think it was the thing that really turned me off about Asuka was a few things. The rare occasions when I would watch NXT and review it on this channel before a bunch of goofballs came and attacked me on here. Remember that classic Nakamurphy Sami Zayn review where everyone just came on here and flamed me. Back when I used to do star ratings, remember those days? Well, there was that match with Asuka where it was actually against Nia Jax where she kicked out of getting leg dropped right on her face. And I was like, wow, they're really going to have this little girl kick out of a big move like that? And I was like, I don't like the way they're booking her. But, and then she came into WWE and the whole thing with her winning the Royal Rumble and all this, it was a big turnoff to me, to say the very least. Okay, so with that said, I think that I think that she's a good talent. And, her antics with the screaming and yelling is kind of goofy as hell, but it's endearing to a certain extent. So I guess you could say I'm sort of like an Asuka fan, or just more positive towards Asuka. I mean, maybe fan is kind of like getting a little bit carried away. But she's not bad, and she adds to the show to a certain extent. This is just like someone, though, again, with Asuka, where she's actually the world champion. And now, I don't know, maybe is that what they're trying to work up towards? Do they kind of want to do an Asuka Charlotte type of thing? Because, they're tag champs now, and, Asuka's also the women's champion. But I don't know, it's like, I don't think they know where they want to go with Asuka, because they're having her team with Lana, and, and she's like a singles champion. So I don't even know why she want to pursue the tag belts in the first place. Okay. Then, as I said before, they had Sami Zayn confronting Big E backstage. He tells him that thing about the treading the water. And he gets all annoyed. Like I said, just very weird that he get annoyed by such a small comment like that. Reigns and defeated Kevin Owens in a TLC match. This match I did not like, really. First of all, it was ridiculous. They were making Kevin Owens to be like Superman here. He got thrown through like 3-4 tables. Jey Uso's attack. What this whole thing did? It just made Owens look like superior to Reigns. That he would need this help from Jey Uso in order to be able to win. I thought it was a bit ridiculous. Like he gets speared through a table, he's getting up, he gets thrown through another table. Like, I mean, you reach a point where the suspension of disbelief can't be suspended anymore. I mean, we're looking at a guy here, Kevin Owens, where quite honestly, I can't help but every single time I look at him, just say, how is this guy here? Honestly, I mean, how is this guy here? He is in no better shape than when I used to see him in Ring of Honor. And and I've heard like some people, like Jim Cornette, as crazy as he is, it was not so crazy when he used to be involved with the creative over in Ring of Honor. He actually had told Kevin Owens to change his look, to try to get in shape. He had said things, like to kind of try to fix himself up a little bit. And as crazy as Cornette is, Cornette knows what a star looks like. He knows who should be in the main event. Now, he may not know really the best way to book things. He's kind of stuck in the past. He wants everything to kind of be booked like it was during the territory days. But be that as it may, you can't take away from the fact that Cornette knows, who are the big stars. He was smart enough to realize a guy like Vader and a few other people were deserving of the spotlight. He knew who the big players should be. And of course, Kevin Owens, he said that was snooty. And I believe that story because, I mean, the proof is in the, well, this is really a hilarious saying to apply to Kevin Owens. The proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pizza pie. The proof is in the chocolate cake. I mean, honestly, the thing is, this guy looks no better than he did 15 years ago. I mean, I've never seen it where a wrestler who works around all these people that are in shape. So, first of all, I gotta say, I am so surprised that this guy doesn't get so winded. I don't know. I mean, I will give him that. I'm not saying that Kevin Owens is a bad wrestler or anything, but every single time I look at him, I cannot help but say I said it in my SmackDown review. This is a match against a guy who looks like $1,000,000 versus a guy who looks like he's made of $5. I mean, it's undoubtedly the best comparison I think that you could make. I mean, he just looks like he does not belong. He does look like he should be in the Indies, and even seems a bit out of shape for the Indies, to be quite honest. I mean, seeing him come out there, it's the same thing with Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe with those goofy looking shorts. You have Kevin Owens out there with the shorts and the sleeveless shirt for okay, he used to wear a slinget, unfortunately, in Ring of Honor. But, thankfully someone told him to stop doing that and then just kind of cover up a bit more. But you're looking at these guys, and you're also then looking at the way how this match is flowing, how this really this guy that looks like a slob, to be quite honest, is getting up from the guy who looks like $1,000,000. And, he's screaming out to Roman Reigns, "You're going to have to kill me," and everything. And he's getting killed during this match. And seeing him get back up, it really, really makes it look so fake. It really does. I mean, how is he constantly getting up from everything here? It's there's so many occasions where it should have ended. And, I mean, they just shouldn't have had this match. They shouldn't have even made it like this. Hopefully they move on from this point and don't try to book this match ever again. Because, I mean, honestly, it is time now to give up on Kevin Owens. And I know that they won't, because they're going to say oh, this was a great Valiant performance and he did a good job and he took all the spots and he sold for Roman Reigns, and all those statements may be true. But at the end of the day, I mean, Kevin Owens being in there with Roman Reigns did not look any better tonight than it did 4 years ago. And it never will look good when he looks this current way. It's just how many different stop again, start agains with Kevin Owens are they gonna do? And they've done it almost with everyone on the roster. I get it, but like this thing with Kevin Owens being the next Stone Cold. This, like, first of all, he should have never won the Universal title in the first place. So we shouldn't even have to worry about when's he going to win it again. He should never win it again. He shouldn't have even won it in the first place. He should have never tried to give the illusion that this was a top guy. I don't even know how you even rocket this guy past the mid-card looking the way how he does. But it was like because a few smarks wanted more for him, and now they're not even into Kevin Owens anymore. That is the thing what they need to learn. Now it is time to drop all of this appealing to the smarks and appealing to the indie crowd. This is not getting you anywhere. You know where it's gotten you? It's gotten you the lowest ratings for Raw in the history of the show. And I get this is on SmackDown, but SmackDown's not that far behind. I mean, honestly, this is what Fox paid $1 billion for a Kevin Owens. Is that what did they get their money's worth with that? Anyway, this just it was going on forever. The whole Superman routine, and people used to complain when they would do it with Cena, but at least with Cena, it made a little bit of sense because look at Cena and look at Kevin Owens, and I rest my case on that. Then in the main event, we had Randy Orton defeating The Fiend in a Firefly Inferno match. And at first, I was like really confused about this because, first of all, I was like, okay, it's an Inferno match? Is that what it is? And, I kind of saw that they had these machines set up. I'm like, what type of weird setup is this? Because I'm like, an Inferno match is set up around the ring apron usually. And I would have liked them to do it better that way, but then when I kind of saw what they had in mind, I thought that this was actually done really, really well. And a good way to close out the show. I had also forgotten that this match was even on the show. Like, after Roman and Owens, like, how I watch this show? I skip past all the entrances. I skip past until something's actually happening. I skip past the recaps, all the little commercials that they do for WWE Shop. Skip. And I realized, like, okay, there's more of this show? Oh, yeah, it's The Fiend and Orton. So I was like, oh, okay, so, I've got one more match to go. Little did I know it was going to be the best thing on the show. Now, I thought that the opener was actually really good, and I said a lot of the other matches were pretty decent. But this right here, this was something that was actually pretty intense to watch and good. So, I don't know, they did it kind of weird. Like I said, they had the flames kind of bursting out of a little, like, flame machine, like, kind of like where they're streaming everybody in, for the audience. So, I don't know, that was a little bit awkward to put it there. I don't know why they didn't just keep everything a little bit closer to the ring. I don't know. I guess maybe they didn't want to light the barricades on fire. I don't know what they were doing. It was really, like, that's the one criticism I do have. It was a very weird, awkward kind of setup. And they also didn't turn it on right away. They kind of had The Fiend kind of spread his arms out and kind of like Kane, and then everything just kind of came on. And I really thought that they were going to have like The Fiend lighting Orton on fire. I thought it was going to be one of those things where they were going to have the staff come in and do the fire extinguishers right away. Kind of like what they did with The Undertaker and Kane. Have the guy flail a little bit. I thought maybe he had like a flame retardant suit under him. And then they had this like really good spot outside where they were doing the gasoline, and then the Fiend takes a lighter, and he had the Sister Abigail chair. And once again with the chair, we're going back to this again, but I'm not going to criticize that. This chair has been destroyed 1,000 times, and somehow it keeps coming back. But he lights it, and the flames just go right up to Orton. Orton gets away in time. Then they gonna move to one of the sides where everything is kind of like near the audience being streamed in. And then the Fiend's back gets lit ablaze, and he comes running towards Orton, like in the ring, and he had it on him for a good like 10 seconds. He hits the RKO, and the flames, I got extinguished. I think he was wearing like I said, like a flame retardant suit under him, but obviously this was like edited, I think, to a point too, because they were not doing this part live. I mean, that would be totally insane to think that they were doing this live. Then what he does, he gets the gasoline can, he lays all the gas all over him. Then he takes a lighter and he sets him ablaze. Now, obviously, you could see that was not Bray Wyatt there underneath it, but like the whole image of them doing this was a really like well produced segment. I was like, there was a lot of drama right there, and it was right there for all to see. You know, I know a lot of people are gonna say that this was over the top and everything like that, but this is really what they need more of, in my opinion, because I was entertained. My eyes were fixed on the screen the whole time, and it was a really cool visual. It was, you know, I watched a little bit of what Zubair said on here. It was a bit of an Attitude Era moment. And yeah, unfortunately they didn't tell this whole story as well leading up to it. And they're probably going to drop the ball soon after this, like they always do. But, you know, like it said, they do this from time to time. Sometimes there's a brief glimmer of how it used to be. And this was one of those glimmers. And like I said, it was a good, entertaining segment, and I enjoyed it. And they built a lot of drama of, you know, who was going to be set on fire. And it's also been a long time since we've seen an Inferno match. The last one was with Bray Wyatt and Kane. And obviously, you know, The Undertaker and Kane, nothing's ever going to top that Inferno match, the Unforgiven one and the one they had on Raw. But this was done a bit differently. And at the end, I saw why they did it the way that they did. They needed to have it set up a certain way for certain visuals. At the end of the day, that's what matters. The visual, the entertainment, the drama, and they did all that. So overall, it was a pretty decent show, I have to say. You know, there are a few things here and there. You know, I already staged my complaints. You know, Reigns and Owens, it wasn't unbearable, but it really was just like shaking my head, just kind of cringy, you know, where he's getting up, you know. But so with that said, guys, I hope you all enjoyed the review. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all the notifications when I post all my new videos. I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support, and thanks again, guys. I'll see you next time.